Welcome to today's deep dive into one of the most intriguing geopolitical shifts happening in West Africa, a region at the crossroads of history, ideology, and sovereignty. Today, we explore the rising tension and transformation in Ivory Coast, and the profound regional ripple effects being created by Captain Ibrahim Traore, the young military leader of Burkina Faso. From troop withdrawals and strategic realignments to the rise of new anti-colonial icons, West Africa is rewriting its script. Section 1, Ivory Coast and the French Withdrawal. Let's start in Abidjan, the economic hub of Ivory Coast. In early 2025, President Alassane Ouattara made a historic move by announcing the complete withdrawal of French troops from Ivorian soil. This marked the end of a military presence that had lasted since the days of independence. The final step in this process was the handover of the 43rd Marine Infantry Battalion, a prominent French base, back to the Ivorian army. Officially, the government cited the modernization and strengthening of its own military forces. But the subtext was clear. Ivory Coast is distancing itself from its colonial-era security dependency on France. This move mirrors a broader pattern seen across the region, from Mali and Burkina Faso to Niger and Senegal, where foreign military bases, particularly French ones, are being dismantled amid a wave of anti-imperial sentiment.
Section 2.
Who is Captain Ibrahim Traore? At the heart of this regional transformation is Captain Ibrahim Traore de Fronde, the 36-year-old leader of Burkina Faso. In 2022, Traore rose to power through a military coup, citing rampant insecurity and government failure to curb Islamist insurgencies. Since then, he has become more than a head of state. He's emerged as a symbol of African defiance. Traore's rhetoric is bold, anti-colonial, and pan-African. He expelled French troops, forged stronger ties with Russia, and doubled down on national sovereignty. He presents himself as a successor to Thomas Sankara, the revolutionary icon of the 1980s, who championed self-reliance and anti-imperialism. Through social media and even AI-generated propaganda, Traore's image has been glorified among African youth. Many see him as a revolutionary figure standing against Western control. But critics warn, beneath the iconography lies a government accused of repression, human rights violations, and worsening security conditions in parts of Burkina Faso. Section 3, the Traore effect. So what is the Ibrahim Traore effect? It's the growing influence of a new generation of African military leaders who reject Western partnerships, especially with France, and instead align with non-Western powers like Russia or Turkey. It's about reclaiming narrative and sovereignty, even if that means taking radical or authoritarian steps. This effect is evident not only in Burkina Faso, but in neighboring states like Mali and Niger, where military juntas have also expelled French forces, shut down Western NGOs, and adopted nationalist, populist postures. And now Ivory Coast, though still under civilian rule, appears to be adapting to this new era. The decision to remove French troops and focus on self-reliance fits into the wider continental wave of anti-imperial sentiment. Section 4, tensions between Ivory Coast and Burkina Faso. But it's not all ideological alignment. In fact, recent developments show rising tensions between Ivory Coast and Burkina Faso. In April 2025, the Traore government accused Ivory Coast of harboring dissidents and military defectors allegedly involved in a foiled coup attempt in Burkina Faso. According to reports, the plotters had links to both former Burkina-based soldiers and jihadist networks. While Ivorian officials have remained silent, the allegations have stirred concern in regional diplomatic circles. It's a delicate moment. Both nations are navigating massive internal transitions, and any cross-border accusations could escalate into diplomatic rifts or even proxy conflicts. Section 5, West Africa's political crossroads. Zooming out, West Africa stands at a political crossroads. On one side are traditional democracies like Ivory Coast, attempting to modernize their militaries and regain sovereignty through political institutions. On the other side are military-led governments, like those of Burkina Faso, Mali, and Niger, pushing radical shifts via force and populist messaging. The irony? Many young Africans appear to support the military rulers, not out of love for coups, but out of frustration with a system that hasn't delivered jobs, justice, or safety. Figures like Traore offer a break from the status quo, even if the cost is authoritarianism. What's unfolding is not merely a change in leadership or alliances, but a battle for Africa's future ideological direction. Conclusion? To wrap up, no, Ivory Coast has not undergone a military coup, but make no mistake, the ground is shifting. The withdrawal of French troops, the rising influence of Ibrahim Traore, and the deepening regional divides point to a new chapter in African geopolitics. Whether these changes will lead to a more sovereign, unified, and self-sustaining Africa, or result in greater instability and division, remains to be seen. But one thing is certain, the Ibrahim Traore effect is real, and it's shaking Africa from the Sahel to the Gulf of Guinea. Stay tuned, the story is just beginning.